Hi.
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 Hello.
Nice to see you both.
How's
Thank
everybody
you.
doing today?
I'm doing great. The sun's out. I couldn't ask for more. Final summer's here.
It's kind of few and far between these days out here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, obviously we are thrilled and happy to be joined by our friend Beatriz here at SRJC. And we are just so eager to learn about your role here on campus, what's brought you here, and I am just open-hearted and open-minded and eager to learn more about you, our friend.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy, I'm honored, and I look forward to this conversation.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you for being here.
For having me.
So tell us about your role right now here at SRJC.
So my role right now is Director of Student Outreach, International Student Programs, and Onboarding, which includes the Welcome and Connect Center and the Undocumented Immigrant Dream Center. I'm new to my role. I started in this position in November of last year. So just finishing out this academic year, feeling like I'm still going to use my new employee card. But no, I feel great. I feel blessed to be able to give in this opportunity, and I'm really happy to be in this position that I am right now. But I have worked for the college for more than 20 years.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And it's a huge role that you're filling now, and it's integral to the whole college's process. So thank you. All you
Definitely.
do for all of us. I love that we get to share a building. You're here in Flower Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't underestimate those 20 years. Tell us more about those 20 years.
Right. Well, I started as a student worker, moved my way up the scale, right? Then became an STNC, started as a classified employee with, actually my first classified position was part-time with Mesa and Fuente. I split my time with them. And then I moved over to what was then the assessment office, which was kind of like the first stop for students at that time. Assessment and matriculation, those were my home bases back then. And then I moved over to working for the high school equivalency program, where I worked for the past 10 years, doing some amazing work with migrant farm workers and helping them, get acquainted with college, with goals, with getting their GED, and then potentially going on to doing other stuff like ESL, career education, transferring, and becoming professional. So it was very rewarding to be in that position. And then the opportunity came for this position, which, I hesitated because they're big shoes to fill. Michelle Poggi, who was here before me, had created this wonderful team and this wonderful program. And I thought it was a great opportunity for me to grow more from where I was and to be able to have a bigger impact on our college and our community. And just kind of, take what I've learned so far and just my experience of being a student and now being able to implement that and kind of complement to what we do with students now. So I really, really feel honored and lucky to be able to be in this position that I am right now.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I love that you're in that position, Beatriz. I think, if there's somebody who can do it, it really is you, just because, it's nice to see people of color, like us. Like for me, like I'm just like, that's Beatriz. Like I want to do that. So it really is inspiring and it's great. And I'm so happy that you are in the role that you are in today.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you and others who kind of motivated me to apply for this position, because sometimes it takes others to tell you what to see in yourself, what you don't see in yourself, because you're either too humble or too busy doing your work and you don't want to give yourself that opportunity for growth. But I really want to thank some people like Drina and others who said, we really see you're a good fit for this position. And then it kind of makes you think like, oh, okay, if people are telling me something, it's because of something. So it was a great move.
That's beautiful. And also, I mean, gosh, everything you outlined with your experience just shows that you understand the needs of our community, firsthand. By working at all these other levels, you can see the needs of our students and the type of student who needs and belongs here,
Yes.
So yes. That makes a lot of sense too.
For sure. I feel like that's my passion. Having been a student here and having been helped in so many ways by so many programs, I just feel like it was like a natural thing for you to want to do the same for others, wanting to make them feel welcome and show them like all the help that they can get, and that yes, you can do it, because look, I did it, you can too. So I've been really lucky to have been in those positions up front, up counter, where I had been able to get to interact with all kinds of students, right? Students just out of high school. When I was in assessment, we were doing placement testing. So we would get the herd of students, every day who were needing to do their math and English placement, and just to, make them feel at home, at ease, because they are coming a little nervous, thinking, how is this test going to affect my start in school? And so just administering the test for them and letting them know this is what's going to be for you, and these are the things that you're going to find out about yourself through this placement, and then just letting them know what the next steps are. And so it's just been like a really an important thing for me to be able to give back and let students know that this is a place for them.
Do you feel like when you were, because you're an alumni from the JC, right? Yeah. So when you were here, did you feel like you had that support, or is that okay?
I did. I absolutely did. I actually want to share it. And many people know I was an Adelante student first.
Oh, wow.
Right? The students that come here for some people, because they have a connection with the migrant farm worker population. I was an Adelante student because my parents were farm workers. So that was my introduction to SRJC. Wow. And just being able to take classes here, and how we had access to the pool, to the dark room for photography, so we could do our own little yearbook, and to the soccer fields, and just to all of the facilities here, which I thought was a beautiful campus. Since then, I picture myself being here. Like either as a student or just like working here, because I would see people walk by that were workers here.
Yeah.
And I would like feel like, oh, I want to be like them. Right. So from that point, I was I fell in love with SRJC. It was just a different experience because most of us were Spanish speakers, and it felt like we could be ourselves here in this summertime. Where back in high school, it was like back with, being a minority, an ESL student, where you want to hide, where you don't want to say that you don't know English. Here at the JC with the Adelante program, it was like, no, we're all Latinos, we all speak English and Spanish, and we're here to learn and support each other. So since that moment, it was like the JC just kind of, I felt like it had a magic. And right after high school, I was actually a pretty good student in high school. But I didn't have the guidance that I should have had, I think, to transfer right out of high school to a 4-year university. So I definitely wanted to continue with school. And the logical thing for me was SRJC, because I already knew from being a summer student, right? So it was like, if I don't go anywhere, I'm going to go there because I already know where it is and how it works. And so I came in, applied for the Puente program. I was a Puente student. And I had a lot of support from my teachers. They definitely made a difference. And then I became a Mesa student. When Mesa first started here at SRJC, I want to say like I was one of the first Mesa students here as well. Wow. And so the thing with Mesa was I was into probably my 3rd year here at SRJC. And I applied for a summer internship through Mesa at UC Santa Cruz. And at that time when I applied, a couple months went by and I learned that I was pregnant. So that was a little bit of a shake in my world, because I now face, the situation where, what am I going to do? Am I going to continue? Am I going to drop out? And so the thing that I like to share is that when I shared my situation with Darcy, to tell her, you know what, Darcy, I don't think I can do this summer internship because I'm pregnant. She told me, like, that doesn't matter. Like, she just said, like, so you're still going. So that was like, awesome. Oh, I'm still going. Okay, I guess I am. And she made sure, she drove me to my internship and made sure that I got myself there for a 2-week internship with a 6-month belly. And then when I got there, of course, I was like, oh man, like, what are other colleagues gonna say that are in this program, that I'm here with my belly and I'm pregnant? And, it was just such a wonderful, I think it was one of the best experiences I've had in my life, because everyone embraced me and said, oh my gosh, you're here and you're pregnant. We're so proud of you. And they all wanted to take care of me, the other students in the program that were coming from different community colleges. So that was awesome. Towards the first week, at the end of the first week, I started feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I'm walking a lot. My tummy's hurting, blah, blah, blah. Darcy called and said, I need somebody to take her to her classes every day. She got me a van, so I had special transport. So she made sure I finished that 2-week internship, no problem. And I think that set, for me, it kind of set the precedence of, no matter what, you can do it. Yeah. Right? With the right help, nothing is an obstacle. So from then on, it was just like, okay, I'm doing this with this baby. I had my little girl. I then transferred to Sonoma State. Took me longer than I expected, but I transferred. And at that time, I became pregnant again. So I had my second child. And of course, it was also, hard and difficult, because school, and I was working and I was a mom. But nonetheless, I kept working here at SRJC. All throughout this time, I was a part-time worker, either a student worker or an STNC. And so that, having SRJC as my home base and reaching out to different people as I went through these transition periods of being a student and working and being a mother at the same time, just knowing that I had that support was instrumental. And so I finished Sonoma State with my 2 kids, one in my arms, the other one with my hand and bottom. But I finished, and it was just, I couldn't have done it without the support and help of the staff here at SRJC, for sure.
That's amazing.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely hard, but I did, I had to do it with the help of financial aid. I applied for scholarships. I got a total scholarship throughout my time here. Applied when I transferred to Sonoma State. I applied for scholarships then and financial aid, and I was, very thankful to have that help. But still, I feel like it wasn't enough, right? Because what I was making and the cost of the 4-year university was just not affordable for me. So I ended up taking student loans, and I feel like if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have made it through. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got the support that I needed. After I graduated from Sonoma State, I think it was about 3 or 6 months after, I started paying them out. But by that time, I was now hired self-classified staff here with the I'm not sure if it was the Puente and Mesa or it was now assessment, but I was now, having a better salary. So I could definitely afford now paying off this student loan. And yeah, when I finally finished paying that off, what was it, like 7 years ago? It felt like, wow, like another milestone completed, right? Because I was only paying what I could afford. And it did take me quite a few years to finish paying that off, but I don't regret it. I definitely feel like it was an investment to my education, to my growth. And it's what I had to do to be able to achieve that bachelor's degree.
Yeah. I think that's so important. I think that's one of the things that we always discuss, where student loans, I think everybody hears a word loan and it's such a scary thought, because obviously it's like most of us are like, we don't want to get in debt. But reality is that with anything that we may do here is that we might be getting into debt. But like you said, it turns out to be an investment within yourself. You're investing in your education, you're investing in you to get different possibilities. So it's like paying it back. It's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. But at the same time, it's part of it. It's part of financial aid. It's still financial aid because you're still getting the help. It's just a little bit of help that you have to pay back in order for you to be able to get everything. But I don't know. I like the way that you worded it, where it's just an investment for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was an investment. And sometimes I think retroback, I think like I could have probably applied for more scholarship and avoided getting a loan. But I'm like, I could have, but I didn't, because I was just busy being a mom and a student and a worker. And it was just, for me, it was just difficult. So I said, I need to do what I need to do. And so I went ahead and took that loan out. But definitely it became affordable after I graduated, because now I had a full-time job.
Yeah.
And the good thing about the loans is that they kind of allowed me and set the monthly payments to a place that I was comfortable with. Like, they were very flexible. Yes, it was going to take me longer if I paid less, but that's what I could afford at that time. And by the time I finished paying it off, it really felt really good.
Oh, I
Yeah.
feel that sense of accomplishment. And I feel really lucky that at this phase at SRJC, we have a lot of funding available for our students. And we have student loan borrowers, of course, and it's our intention that every time we have a student who's going to borrow, we meet with them one-on-one. We offer, the engaged planning and anticipate the process of transferring and what borrowing might look like at the four-year college level. And because we want students to feel empowered and guided and actually be able to follow through with a plan like you were able to. Right. I mean, that's like the dream obviously nobody wants to borrow, but if you're having to borrow, the dream is to be able to gain employment, find something that can help sustain yourself and your family, pay off those debts, and then continue to thrive, I get goosebumps like just talking about it, because I just feel that that's what's happened for you, and it's empowering, just as I mentioned with the process.
And even with loans, it was difficult. Life was hard. Even with the loans, I feel like we still had a hard time getting by. So imagine without them, I could not have done it without them.
And so you mentioned your babies. How old are your babies now?
Oh, my babies. Yeah, my oldest daughter is 22 now. My middle son is gonna be 20 in July, and I have a 13-year-old, so I have 3 kids.
Wonderful. So what do you think watching you go through that process? What was that like for them? I mean, if you were to paraphrase, I imagine that you were able to provide an example that was astounding for them. So what's your takeaway, for
that? My daughter saw me through this process, and when I was a full-time employee here, having to do events later in the evenings or in the weekends, I would always try to bring them with me when I could, so that they know, this is why I'm away, this is what I do. And so my daughter, for sure, and they all know, they all see me, what I do at work, and know how passionate I am, and know the students that I help. They've actually met students because I've been bringing them to these events. And so it's very rewarding for them to see, for them to see you as an example.
Yeah.
Right. My daughter was in her middle school years. One time she did a presentation about their role model, and parents were invited, and she talked about me and how I was her role model. And for me, that was like, I could die tomorrow, because my goal in life has been complete, for my daughter to just, like value what we've done, to make sure she has a house, a roof, something to eat, and a stable environment. and that you acknowledged all of that was awesome. I remember being pregnant at Sonoma State. I was like, this baby's gonna be a school kid because he's coming with me, he's being a student with me as I go through this process. My two oldest, ironically, are not in school right now. And I can say that calmly because at the beginning I was like, how can my kids not be going to school? After all I've showed them. But no, I think it was just a combination of the pandemic, online schooling, and just that shift. But the good thing is that now that we're now back in person, my daughter's seeing like, okay, Mom, I think I'm ready. I'm going to go back to school, because they know the importance, right? And I keep emphasizing the importance, but also I had to learn to step back and let them do those decisions on their own and not push, because I was at a point where I was like, oh, what am I going to do? My kids are not going to school. That just can't happen. But no, I had to have that conversation with myself about, everybody does their own journey. Everybody does things at their own time. And so I have to, honor them and just honor that they are good people, that we raise good human beings. And whatever they choose for their path to be, it's going to be their own, not mine, not my husband's, but their own. And I'm going to be proud of whatever they do, no matter what they choose. But yeah, for them to know that SRJC is here for them always. Yeah. Whether it's now or 5 years or
later.
10 years.
Mm-hmm. This community is here to stay.
You're right.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's, a cornerstone of parenting in general is, learning to support and respect what will be. Right. And so I commend you for your grace, in finding that. And I imagine that that's probably just the gift that keeps on giving, for your kids, is that support. And then, knowing that this community and other colleges, we're all here, when someone's ready. And I think that's what's special about community college, is that if you're not really sure which direction you want to go, there's a lot of support for that.
Yeah, there really is. I think and then, it's the part where it's like, you don't have to feel the pressure, like, oh, I have to be there every year or every semester. It's like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's like, you can decide to take some time off, but then that you can still be able to come back and be ready when, we all have different journeys. So
yeah, for sure.
It's nice to have the availability.
And being flexible, right? But letting students know that we're here to support them no matter what, because with the high school equivalency program, which helped migrant farm workers, it was just difficult for them to visualize themselves being a full-time student, for example. So it was like, no, take what you can now, and then just work little by little on those goals, right? Right now it's getting the GED. You're going to come to class late at night once a week. Yeah. But once you get that goal done, then maybe twice a week for your ESL class. And then later on, we actually saw through the 10 years that I was there, how students went from I'm just here because I want to get a better salary and my boss told me I needed my GED. And then they went from that to learning about EOPS and all these wonderful programs and the SRJC Roseland and the ESL pathways, to then saying, you know what, I went to the dental clinic the other day because you guys paid for me to go. And I think I want to be a dental hygienist.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? How do I get in? And it's like, oh my gosh, magic. Let me just tell you.
That's awesome. It's awesome because then they actually picture themselves, like they started off with one thing and then they're like, if they're there and they can do it, why can't I?
Right. And so these are, older reentry students coming back to school for one reason, thinking my chance of doing something is gone, and now thinking, no, it's never too late. I can still do something. And man, I have stories that we can spend hours on. But one of the ones that I highlight most remarkably is those that start with GED and now have graduated from the university system and are being professionals. So these are people working in the fields, getting out of that and now being professionals out in the community. is just remarkable and it's wonderful. And thank goodness for this program. We have it here, it continues, and I will always be supportive of that program and what it does with students. And just like it does that with migrant farm workers, it's the same principle and same idea with everyone, right? Let us know where you want to go, dream big, and we'll help you get as far as you decide you want to get.
Yes.
Love that.
I love that.
Well, I feel like we could just keep talking for forever. So instead, we'll just see you around campus and keep the conversation going. And we thank you for your service for our community for all these years and now for what's all to come. So thank you, Beatriz.
Well, thank you so much. You're very welcome. And thank you for letting me share a little bit of my perspective and my story.
Yes, thank you for everything that you do. I think, you've done a lot of amazing work. You still continue to do so. You're very subtle because she's also the LFSA president.
There you go.
We're out there doing the best we can to have different resources for our students as well as our staff on campus. So, Beatriz, you wear a lot of hats, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. I always say SRJC has a magic, and I think that magic is the staff. And you two are part of that staff that makes this school a magical place. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. It's a privilege.
Well, with that, I'm gonna say that we are, by the time this airs, it's most likely that our 22-23 FAFSA application will be closed, right? Because it'll be in July.
Soon. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, let me make sure.
We're going to shift focus to primarily
we're going to shift
23-24 academic year.
Yes. So make sure you still apply. You can still apply for the 23-24 year to get ready for fall of 23.
Yep. It's not too late to get started, and we want our students to be considered for as much as possible. So don't underestimate your value. Students, know that we are all here as resources to support you, and your financial aid applications are ready to help you get started with that.
Yes.
So here's to another great episode. Thank you, Beatriz, for your time.
Thank you, Beatriz.
Thank you. I'm gonna go tell my daughter that.
I love it. Please.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.